Hello, it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. I've treated myself to something for my birthday and it's arrived today. So let's open this pack and take a first peek at the gloriousness inside. It's a card kit from Hunkydory called In Full Bloom, and I want to share it with you here. I'll show you all that's included in the card kit, and then later, perhaps in another video, I'll show you how the cards look when I've made some up. And I'm going to show you this designer Decollage collection, which makes a minimum of 24 cards, and then give some ideas of how to make it go just a little bit further. Each kit is supported with an inspiration sheet. Anne-Marie, I think it was, demonstrated on Hobbymaker how to make the cards, and some of them can be quite simple design, but because of the quality of the cardstock and the imagery, they're really stunning. Hunkydory are a British company who are renowned for listening to their customers. So in this kit, we've been given cardstock. This is about 120. You can hear the quality of that cardstock. It's all A4 size, and there are two images of each design. These are matte designs without foil. No, they're not, they're gloss. Without foil. The foiling detail comes on the decoupage items. The cardstock is renowned for not cracking when it's folded and creased. Rather than leaving the background blank, they've used calligraphy, mock calligraphy across, and you'll find that they'll do things like putting borders or making specialist corners out. Sometimes the design is to one side, so you could make a DL card and a squared card from this background cardstock. This design that goes right the way across the page is really quite stunning, and the botanical illustration is correct. Clematis is my favourite flower, and I'm delighted with this one. There's nothing much that you'd need to do to that to make a beautiful card. Because fuchsias are best seen from beneath, they're shown at the top of the page here, and they're stunning. Now the peonies, these are the peonies that grew in my mum's garden, and they bloom in a couple of months' time in June. So if I'm going to send a card to any of my relatives, this is the design that I'm going to opt for first. And there's a border that is so lush, I can't tell you. Blue hydrangea changes because of the alkalinity of the soil. And again, my mum had blue hydrangeas in her garden, so this is very reminiscent of them, and they've taken them down to the tiny florets, so pretty and popular, up into the border. But also look, it's mimicked in a muted tone in the background. Finding orchids is even less common, and finding the phalaenopsis, and it done so beautifully, is simply delightful. Lilies, this could be appropriate for a wedding or an anniversary or an engagement card, and they can also be used as a heartfelt thanks or a sympathy card. The daisies are simply delightful, and that looks like a daisy chain to me, so that could be suitable for a child's card, thinking of them making daisy chains, or a memory card, thinking of you making memories. And finally, we have the chrysanthemums, but actually they've taken really pretty corals, deep reds here, and burnt ochres and umber to make a really nice design. These are classed as the base layers. There are borders and sentiments in each piece, and there are two designs on each sheet. There are two sheets of each. Clematis fuchsia, hydrangea and delphinium, poppy and chrysanthemum, daisy and lily, peony and sunflower, and orchid and rose. There are 2 designs on each sheet here. This is cardstock, and they class this as the base layer for decoupage. They call this decollage because the decoupage layers are up to 10 layers. These might need box envelopes to send them. But as you can see on these are matte with foiled detail and foiled edging. The attention to detail is stunning. And then they're each accompanied with a variety of sentiments that will match the card and borders. And again, don't forget that this background card is worth keeping for punching or just making another border that will match from it. There's a whole section here that would become a border. So there's the orchid and the rose, the peony and sunflower. For example, this says, "Hope your day is filled with joy, love and laughter. You are my sunshine. Happy birthday, best wishes. Hope your special day blooms with happiness." They've really thought about what you might want to say that goes along with this design. The daisy, let's look at the lily, thinking of you, sympathy, forever in our hearts and memories. So they've taken it down the sympathy route with that design, and it really is appropriate. It doesn't have to be sympathy though, you can make it whatever you want. The poppy and the chrysanthemum. And you can see that all these designs are slightly different shapes. So the poppy was round, and these are cut out borders that create a slightly different look. And likewise, the sentiments aren't just oblongs. They've been cut in with shapes, and again, they're foil edged. Wishing you the most beautiful day. How lovely is that? Now this is classed as the base layer. You can use these on a card topper, as a card topper, and do nothing more than that. But I'm also going to show you the decoupage cardstock. There are 2 sheets of each for decoupage layers. For the lily, fuchsia, and the pieces come down to really quite tiny pieces of leaves, and you can see it's all, can you see it shining in the light? It's all gold foiled. This is one of the most beautiful Hunkydory sets I've actually seen. I'm very impressed with this daisy, and in addition they've added accents like butterflies here and on the clematis. Clematis is my favourite flower, so I'm really impressed with this. Again, butterflies added in with the peonies, and the peonies are really lush. Look how beautiful. The botanical illustration on this is actually superb. Now, the poppies that I had outside my home that'll come into bloom in June are just like this. And again, there are bees to enhance this one. It's rare to find blues in cards, and they've done these delphiniums brilliantly. So I'm delighted that they've taken the blue hydrangea concept and done that with decoupage, and they've taken the petals down to one single floret. I'm not a fan of chrysanthemums, but it is appropriate for perhaps a September birthday. I've got one who's a male friend in September birthday. That's ideal for him. The Phalaenopsis is the type that I keep on my windowsill, and I have this colour on my windowsill, and this is accompanied by dragonflies. I'm going to use that first to make a card for my friend. Her birthday's next Monday, And then I think everybody is delighted with sunflowers, aren't they? So they've taken the bees idea again and taken the down to the centres to bring the decoupage out. And finally, you can't go wrong with a rose, and this is a really beautifully drawn red rose. Now, I intend to make those go as far as I can. So what I do is I take alternate layers, and that helps that cardstock go further. The other thing, it's quite considerable cardstock. I would say that's about 90 GSM. It's adorable, scoreable, so it's going to bend. The other thing is, if you have punches, keep all these extra pieces because they have a pattern and design on them. Imagine if you just use a heart punch and punch the backgrounds out there. You'd have a great number of patterned hearts. Let's take a look perhaps on another design, say one of the blues. Yeah, likewise, look at the background design that they've done. They don't waste any space on any of these pages. This is a damask. Well, look, we've got more florals. You could even get a guillotine and cut straight down and you've immediately got a border. And in some areas the space, the blank space is quite considerable. So look at the whole of the space here. You could make a corner piece. Get your dies, cutting dies, and get your punches out and punch into these backgrounds because they're beautiful too. That way you get a great deal more for your money out of these packs. And the inserts, there are 3 of each in this, so they're all coloured paper. I think you can see if I show you the back. It's white on the reverse. It's a good quality paper. It's matte, so you can stamp your sentiment here or add a die cut sentiment. On the inserts, you have a muted image of the same botanical image from the front, and then even a fainter design. Some of them go right across the page, so that your sentiment would have to go quite high up on the page, but you really wouldn't want to hide that. And we haven't finished yet. I've got what's classed as a little book, and this is the square little book to match the designs in full bloom. And this is 120 pages of blossoming florals featuring 20 different designs. These square sheets are about 4.5 inches wide, and they are a gloss image of quite a thick, substantial paper, and there are 6 designs of each. You could just stick one of these on 120 cards. If you were selling them for charity, you'd raise a lot of money just by doing that. But you can cut into these and be quite inventive with these designs. And because they're paper, they're going to be easier to cut into than the cardstock. Some of them you can cut, some of them you might need a craft knife to get round. It is a really thick pad. A bit difficult to cut round a wasp though, or the dragonfly. Now, where they've done different layers and they're squared edges, you could use that to create layers. You could pick out the leaves. The leaves could come forward purely because you've decoupaged them. And imagine those daisies in 3D with the butterfly coming towards you. And the poppy is just stunning. You only need to add some gems or some Nouveau drops, a ribbon, to make these cards very special. So all in all, I would say I've really got my money's worth. Just to prove the point, you can see that they would cut right up to the tip. Ideal for decoupage.